guess what? It's me. And guess what I'm going to be talking about? I mean, you can maybe kind of guess from the title of the video, but I'm going to be talking about religion and faith in video games. Again, this time in more of like a technical gameplay and lore side of video games. But hey, apparently this is a topic that's consistently on my mind because this is my third explicit video on religion in video games. So, cool. Here we go. Okay, let's start with the story. Why not? So, Ubisoft had their Ubisoft Forward where they're announcing all their upcoming projects, and they had a trailer for Mythic Quest Season 3. I love Mythic Quest. It's one of my favorite shows. Great workplace comedy type show. Also, yeah. So I decided to rewatch it, and one amazing show. I did not realize how good the writing was until I rewatched it again. Maybe it's just because I'm a software developer now and I picked up on more of the like background stuff, which helped me know more of like what's going on. But great show. Writing is amazing. But in the Everlight episode, which is the finale of season 1, Dana, one of the testers, is a cleric, and that got me thinking about, it's kind of interesting how in video games and role-playing games, clerics are the healers. So thought I would dive into, kind of the role of faith inside of video games. Not specifically religion, but the belief in a cause and just faith in general. Before I begin though, I do want to give a heads up. I do not have gameplay footage for all of the games I'm going to talk about because some of them are on my Switch and on my PlayStation, and I do not have a capture card. I want to get one, but the last few times I've got one, they haven't worked, which is very annoying because I have so many games that I really love on Switch and PlayStation, but I can't capture any of those because capture cards that I buy, I don't know if it's just like my computer or I don't know. Maybe I just have extraordinarily bad luck, but they never seem to work. So sadly, I do not have gameplay footage for every game that I'm going to mention. Thank you, and here we go. Okay, so clerics are what got me thinking about this whole faith in video games concept. So I figured I would start there. So I'm pretty sure this whole thing begins with, it does. This whole thing begins with Dungeons and Dragons because that's where the whole RPG system kind of grew out of. I mean, I'm not a video game historian, although, oh my gosh, that would be an amazing job to have. Really cool. But a lot of the tropes that we see in video games nowadays come from the RPG setup that Dungeons and Dragons setup. So that's where we get clerics and monks would be the two more faith-based classes, and we see those in video games. And the role of clerics is they are holy people who use their faith in a divine being that their religion worships to heal and support others, which I just find very interesting because especially in a day and age where religion is kind of being religion isn't as popular as it used to be. Yet, to this day, we see religion being very well represented in video games because entire RPGs are built around faith and religion being a source of healing and restoration in video games, which I think kind of juxtaposes really interestingly with reality, because the predominant view that I see on TikTok and stuff of religion is that it is a force that tends to be a little more harmful to people, particularly with how things are polarized right now. I don't want to get into politics again. I did that in my last religion and video games series, but yeah, it's a lot of what we see is the religious versus non-religious in society, with the religious trying to take away things and not exactly restore society, whereas the non-religious are trying to restore society, which I find very interesting because the role of a cleric in a video game is that they are bringing healing into the world through their faith. Anyways, the main point that I'm trying to make, and rambling because I have attention issues and focus issues, is that I find it very interesting that in a world that is moving away from religion, video games seem to be moving towards religion and representing more faith-based ideals. Maybe, I mean, it's possible that it's just so ingrained in the RPG genre that not many developers have moved away from it yet, and we'll see that in the coming years. Honestly, I would not be surprised if we saw that, but I do find it very interesting that, yeah, religion is still a huge part of video games. Huge part of video games, even though it, like, by all accounts, shouldn't be based off of societal trends. For instance, in Dragon Quest, which is a very old game series, very good game series. This is one of the ones that I have on my Switch, so I wasn't able to get gameplay. So you're still seeing me playing as a cleric in Divinity Original Sin 2. But in Dragon Quest, the church is where you save your game, you can resurrect your party members, you can get rid of poison effects. Like, the church is a very important part of the game because it allows you a way to basically keep your party alive and well and healthy, which is just very interesting that that's the role that they chose for a church in the game, especially considering that Japan has had exposure to Christianity for a while, but they're not a Christian nation that I know of, or at least I know people who are missionaries to Japan, and you don't really see a whole lot of missionaries to countries that are considered Christian nations. So yeah, it's very interesting that, like, as far back as Dragon Quest on, like, the SNES, I think is the one that I have. I think that's what it was originally released on. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a video game historian, but I do find it very interesting that as far back as then, RPGs were built around the fact that faith and belief in a higher power is the source of your healing and restoration in video games. Like, they're not going to just have traditional healing. It's something supernatural and, like, holy. Also, real quick, I apologize for all the noises. My nose is, like, super stuffed up and is making noises anytime I try to breathe, so anytime I take a breath, y'all can hear it. I'm sorry. Another game that I find it very interesting, again, I don't have gameplay footage for this because I didn't have it installed and didn't want to take several hours to install it just to record like 5 minutes of gameplay. But another game that is built around the concept of the church as a healing and restorative power is Age of Empires 2, in which your healers are the monks in the game, which is very interesting because that game is built around Crusade era Earth. And it's very interesting because, like, that was a time when the Catholic Church was the political institution, and, like, the church was doing some it was very problematic stuff. Like, the Crusades were not a good reflection of what Christianity is supposed to be, but, like, the game is built around you use your faith to heal, which, I mean, it's at least representative in the fact that, like, not only the Christian nations have monks and can heal, but it's very interesting that given the political and religious climate of the time, it's still built around the church as healers, which again I would credit back to Dungeons and Dragons using healers for using clerics for healers. Yes. Anyways, like I said, I have focus issues so bad. But another game moving forward, like, we still see this. Like, this isn't something that is going away. Like, you can even see it in modern video games such as Elden Ring. Now, I will be the first to say I'm not an expert on Elden Ring. I technically haven't, well, not technically, I have not finished the game yet because there's a lot of really good games that I want to play, and Elden Ring takes time for how I'm able to play it. I'm not a insanely skilled player, so it took time. Also, this is not my main playthrough. This is just like a side one that I made on my PC and then forgot that I had, so he's still at the basic level. But in Elden Ring, there are two classes built off of Faith, and Faith is one of the magic systems. There's regular mana-based magic systems, and then there's the Faith-based magic system. And I find it interesting. I can't speak to the whole story because I haven't made it that far in the story, but I do find it interesting that even this is another Japanese built game, and Faith is incorporated as a, not primary, because like you can go the entire game without using Faith-based spells, but Faith is a mechanic in the game in which you can access a power greater than yourself, which, I mean, that's kind of what Faith is in general, in reality, I guess. But I find it interesting that like Elden Ring is considered one of the biggest games of this year, and Faith is still a pretty big mechanic in a game. And because the Faith-based people, again, are healers. There's also a bunch of like pyromancy and like fire spells mixed in, but it's like fire and health, which is very interesting. Binary, but not binary. Mixture. I don't know. Oh shoot, I didn't eat breakfast. That's why I'm so scatterbrained. Anyways, or did I eat breakfast? I honestly don't even remember if I ate breakfast. That's how scatterbrained I am. Anyways, but yeah, Elden Ring is one of the biggest games of the year, and yet it still is using faith, religion as a relatively foundational game mechanic, which I don't know, is just interesting. Like I said, my videos are so rambling. My gosh, but the thing is, like, I can't read off the screen. I mean, I can, but it has to be like bullet points. I made bullet points. I have an entire page full of notes, but like it's not helping for whatever reason today. Maybe I need more sleep. Anyways, and it's just interesting that faith is still a core game mechanic in video games. Another game that incorporates at least faith appearances in a video game as healers is Overwatch, which is another one of my favorite games. I play this game a lot more, though ironically I don't play Mercy or Zenyatta as much. But Mercy looks like an angel. Again, faith appearance for healing. And Zenyatta is a robot monk, so technically he's a robot, has nothing to do with actual faith, but they still have the appearance of faith in order to support and heal and restore their teammates, which is very interesting that like it's a modern adaptation of that shoot, what's the name? My brain is absolutely scrambled eggs right now. I know it starts with an M. Anyways, it's a modern interpretation of the image? I don't know. Of the motif, that's the word. Of the motif of faith-based entities healing and supporting and restoring the world. Like, Mercy uses technology, nothing to do with faith, but she looks like an angel, I think. And she resurrects people, kind of like similar to motifs that are seen in Christianity. Zenyatta uses more of a Oriental religion motif with like I don't remember, some sort of Oriental monk. I don't know exactly who Zenyatta is based off of. Man, I should have done research before I started this video. Oops, my bad. But yeah, I do find it interesting that even Overwatch, which isn't as big a game as it used to be, but it still is a fairly big game, still uses this motif to convey the idea of a healer, protector, someone who is restoring the world. Okay, so now at this point in my confused ramblings, because, man, I should have written more notes down about this. Oh, well. I'm just trying to make my weekly video because, yeah, this week did not go so well for me in terms of content creation. Anyways, you might be thinking, well, this is probably just coincidental. There's probably not that many examples. I mean, this is just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. But there, like this game, Vampire Survivors, is also built off of the religious motif, which, my gosh, it's a big thing in fantasy. Like, even Game of Thrones has the whole Church of the Light, the woman in red. Church of the Light, right? Oh my gosh, I haven't watched Game of Thrones in so long. So I haven't remember. But like they have that, the seven, the old gods, whatever, and it's like built around supernatural events and religious motifs too, but it's very much in the background. Lord of the Rings is exploring more of the supernatural / religious motifs that Tolkien wrote in, although they're not meant to mirror Christianity, although many they really do. If you read the start of the Silmarillion, the creation of Middle-earth is very similar in some ways to the Christian creation story. But yeah, fantasy seems to have very deep religious roots, which is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to me. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, because like even this game has deep religious symbology with like crosses, vampires. The Bible is literally a weapon that helps you. Although it doesn't have the motif of faith as a healing tool because yeah, you heal through like eating chicken and stuff, which is interesting. But there are other games that use the concept of religion as healing. The big one I can think of, which is also made by From Software, people who made Elden Ring, is Bloodborne. Bloodborne, there's like the church that like worships the blood / the old gods. I don't know. I haven't finished that game either. Again, it takes more time than what I have available at certain points. So I tend to like put a bunch of time in to those From Software games and then check out after a while because there's other games that I really want to play and it's taking me too long to get through those games. But Bloodborne uses supernatural / religiously tied blood to be a source of healing as well, which is very interesting, especially given that the blood does very weird things. I'm specifically thinking of Vicar Amelia, who turns into a massive demon thing, whatever. I don't know how to describe her. Look up videos on YouTube if you want, but it's very interesting that that's a whole thing, is that the healing through blood, which is another religious motif seen in Christianity as well as many other religions. As blood is a restorative and supporting element in religion. But yeah, and then another game that shows this is Final Fantasy VII. Aerith is not. This one's a little more tricky because it's a belief and a faith in attunement to nature that kind of is the source of Aerith's powers, because she's a... Shoot. Why is my brain always blank on terms? Like, I know the terms before I start, and I'm like, oh, I don't need to write that down. And then it's immediately as I start talking, I forget everything. Even my friends that I've had for years, I forget their names on a very constant basis. Anyways, she's immortal, elemental, eternal, something like that. She has a name. She's some type of supernatural creature. But her powers for healing and stuff come through her connection to nature and the planet and stuff, which is another very... I mean, Final Fantasy VII, the original, came out a long long time ago. But it's still, it's a kind of more modern take on the whole motif of religion and faith as a healing and restorative source, as we get healing and restoration from being connected to the planet that we inhabit, which I think is very interesting. But yeah, my gosh, I rambled a lot. This is a 20-minute video or longer. Yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah. Anyways, so those are some examples of like religion as a restorative source in video games and RPGs and stuff. My gosh, I rambled. I had so much more. I should have recorded this video yesterday. I had so much more clearly thought out ideas yesterday. I even had a very clear title, which is escaping my brain right now. Oh my gosh. This video turned into a very rambly mess, which I don't like. I'm gonna start writing better scripts, because I wrote this script and I was like, oh, that's more than enough. Plenty of information there. Apparently not. But yeah, to sum it up, throughout video game history, like, religion has been a very strong source of inspiration for video games, particularly in health and restoration mechanics in video games, as can be seen in like Dragon Quest, Age of Empires, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. Like, it's been around for a while. Probably comes from Dungeons and Dragons, as a lot of video game and RPG tropes and motifs do. But yeah, I do find it very interesting that this is how this particular part of culture represents religion, particularly given that religion is no longer seen as an integral aspect of society, particularly in the Western world, because that's my experience. So yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. That's stuff that I've been thinking about, and oh my gosh, this was so rambly and a mess. I apologize. I will do better in the future. But yeah, if you want to like this video, comment what you think below, and as always, if you want to subscribe, that helps me know that people actually like these videos, and then I can make more of them, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna put a bunch of effort into something that people aren't actually wanting, because that's just dumb. Why make something that people don't want? Capitalism, baby, right? That's another video. But yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, yeah, interact with the video. Lets me know that this is the type of video that people might want to see. If not, I'll probably stop making these videos, because my gosh, they end up usually just being rambly messes of me talking about my religious trauma and my love for video games. Anyways, thanks for watching. See y'all in the next video.